Welcome gamers to Last Call Gaming, the gaming news show where we keep you up to date on what's going on in the world of video games. But more importantly, we also like to give stuff away. And happening right now is the Call of Duty Modern Warfare giveaway, where we have 2 copies that you can win. So make sure you stay tuned to the end of the episode, figure out how you can enter, figure out how you can win. So guys, if you want to hang out, grab yourself a beer, and let's talk games. Welcome gamers to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We are on episode 23. My name is Craig Prowlis, and joining me is the man that always brings the beers that are in season, Andrew Montemayor.
I know, it's almost a shame to drink these.
You think?
They could be the last of the season.
I think we're right on time. Sam Adams, Oktoberfest, fans, anybody? So guys, we're here to jump into what the possibility of the next-gen consoles, the PS5, the Scarlett, have in store. Lately, there was this kind of big rumor, this leak that kind of came out. Andrew, what popped up? What's on the radar right now?
Okay, so again, take this all as a grain of salt. The reason we're talking about it, I will get into a little more detail about that, is that Gizmodo recently posted an article. It's a pretty lengthy article. I'm sure we'll link it. You can go and read it. That they got something from a tipster. Now, again, usually we don't post everything about every little rumor, but the thing that was different about this tipster, the person who was saying, you know, whatever, as far as the rumor goes, was that he posted, or that he actually sent photos of a development kit PlayStation 5, which another website had. I think Craig's got the what was the website or whatever it was called. There's some law website. Either way, it's from Sony's the official government website.
Yeah, so on May 25th, the law firm of Kaiser Leonardo is registered an industrial design in Brazil and the interest for their client, Sony Interactive. And he kind of had things that were matching with that report, stated what they had on it.
Yeah, so they didn't have any photos in that report, but it was a description of how the object would look, and that's what these photos match. So again, that's just a little background as to there's obviously some sort of something there, so that's why we're talking about this. But either way, he was reporting just what the new name for the code name is for the PlayStation 5, which is the Prospero. And then also...
Do you know where that comes from?
No, what is that?
It's actually a name from a Shakespearean play, The Tempest.
Oh, Prospero?
And the only reason I know that is because Tempest is my favorite sidekick outside of Nightwing, because he's the sidekick for Aquaman, original Aqualad. And I had a D&D character named Tempest. He was a storm druid. So that's the only reason why it stood out to me. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
So it didn't stand out until I realized that I was pronouncing it wrong, not Prospero, because I think that's in... Romeo and Juliet, one of the guys' name or something like that.
So that's your fun fact for the day, kids.
So either way, too, he also highlighted some things regarding Xbox, saying that, and again, we'll get into more detail about verbatim what he said, regarding that they might have a bigger focus on camera, especially with all the Twitch craze, which kind of makes a little sense, but also doesn't with how bad the Kinect did.
So... If you've read any of this, if you looked at this, kind of the main thing to take away from this is that this guy is apparently saying that he saw something, he had something, yada yada. What we're kind of going to more lean on is what do we take away from that, right? He's saying that there's an image of the PS5 that's floating around that he took that kind of matched a waist-high shot that is corresponding with what they have it designed for. And I found a picture of it. We'll post it up. You guys tell us what you think. And then also that the cameras are supposed to be designed with future gaming live streaming involved. I do want to make a correction though. I was reading an article that comicbook.com had an interview with Microsoft, and Microsoft the next day after that report came out already came out and said that that was not true. There had no, and the way they worded it was kind of weird. They have no future plans for developing a camera for the new 2020 system, which doesn't mean that they haven't already had a camera in mind. So, Andrew, let's start with the box. You've seen the design, right?
The PS5 box. One.
Do you think this is a good-looking box model idea for the PS5 moving forward? Like, do we want to go back to that kind of look?
No,
I don't get it.
It has to be like a dev kit or something like that is what it is, because it's almost like a trapezoid with like a weird like dip in it. Either way, I'm just so used to like the nice like shiny sleek look. Like
when did we go back to having ruffles on boxes? Like it just looks like an old I want to call it an Xbox One, but the original Xbox, it kind of just reminds me of that. And I from everything we've been seeing, they've been moving away from that. We like the sleeker, just box look. We're gonna make a box, make it a box.
Yeah, just a lot more slim and streamlined is what I would prefer. So I think it's just a development kit is what it is. But I mean, if it's got the camera and it's got whatever on there, like what he's talking about, he says that PlayStation has a camera too, but they're not really trying to upgrade that tech. And again, Microsoft's, he said that it has like a 4K camera, that they're kind of going all out on it. Which, I mean, they did just spend $1 million, I'm sure $1 million, getting Ninja just to be exclusively on Mixer. So, I mean, streaming is the big hot thing. That's something a lot of people are really getting into. So, if they had a really good camera, that might entice some people like, oh, I don't have to buy this extra equipment. It's something that will function with my console. It'll be right there and there. And I mean, they say, oh, we're not working on a camera, but they also said they would never sell an Xbox One without a Kinect. They also said the console was always going to be online, that there wasn't a way for them to make it so that way it couldn't be offline.
Yeah, I'm curious if they, I mean, it kind of seems like their heart's always been in like a peripheral that revolves around like a camera looking at you.
More being a media box than just a gaming console.
Right, it seemed like they kind of missed their mark with the whole like kind of rudimentary, like not VR, but like, you know, mimic kind of thing, where if we look on the positive side of where Mixer and things like Twitch are, a camera that's straight streaming is a completely different idea from what the Kinect ever wanted to be. And
right.
The real question would be, whose bone is that tickling? Is that tickling the ninjas of the world who now have a built-in thing, or any young aspiring online gamer to do? Or is that just going to be flooding the market now? You put a PS5 and an Xbox, in everybody's hand, and now everyone's doing it. How do you shake the good from the bad? I mean, obviously outside of seeing numbers, but do we want everybody to be a streamer?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the thing.
That's where the shift is going to be huge. It's going to be.
I feel like that market's kind of already oversaturated, and it's not just recently oversaturated like it has been, but it's not really a bad. I mean, is it bad that people want to get out there and do whatever? But how many people are failing compared to how many ninjas and Dr. Disrespects and people like that are rising above everybody else? But I mean, it could always be that one other person that, hey, this is how I got my start. And maybe that's just what they'll keep using, going forward. Maybe they'll have something different. Some sort of, like how they have Mixer to go with it. Maybe some other sort of, broadcasting app or something
like a different category. Yeah, instead of just doing online gaming. I mean, they could essentially probably be what we're doing. Put their Xbox up. I don't know how good it's going to look or anything like that. But you could essentially start your own, I guess, podcast, depending on what platform they let you automatically stream to. Whether it's just locked into like an Xbox only does Mixer, because that's what they own. Or they're going to give you an outlet to do something straight on YouTube. So I thought it's interesting. Like we said, Xbox isn't confirming that they're making a new one. So there could be one. It doesn't seem, I don't know. Do you think it's likely?
I'm
like 50-50 right now.
I don't know if it's likely just because the Kinect failed, but then again, with the rise of how popular streamers and stuff are, I'm exactly 50-50. And I mean, that's kind of why we brought this up, because there's been a lot of news coming out lately on both sides of them changing different aspects of how their business runs, that how is this going to lead into next gen? Because if this is true and Microsoft is, how expensive is that camera going to be? Is that going to, is it?
It just caught my hat. I was like, okay.
Is it going to be more expensive than what a PlayStation is because of this camera now? Or if the camera's built in, is it cheaper because now it's not this extra peripheral? So that's kind of the thing is, did they learn their lesson, or is it
one last gamble, one last thing before everything just becomes...
making another mistake? Because on top of that, now leading into like another story that we have, which is all kind of combining into this, how is this pushing forward next gen? Sony has come out and said that they fully support crossplay now, that it is out of beta, that it's an open feature, that now if a game is not crossplay, it is on the developer.
Yeah, and that's something, we're sure that Xbox has been doing this for a long time already, right? PS4 is kind of like the last hiccup.
As far as I know, that's always what they said, is they always said that it was always something on PlayStation's side for why it couldn't. But with more recent games like, I play PUBG, and it gives me a notification now that, do you want to play with other people? And I can hit yes on there. Call of Duty, the beta was just the exact same way. The full game is going to be like that as well. So, I mean, that's always been a big thing for...
It's been the dream that everyone's always wanted to be. It's always been like, I wish... I only have a PS4, I only have an Xbox, I wish we could play Borderlands 3 together. Oh, we can't. Oh, wait, maybe now we can.
And that's what's...
It's moving in the right direction.
Exactly, yeah. And the problem, though, is not problem for us, because as gamers, that's fine. But problem maybe as a person like Microsoft, as in PlayStation, you have this crossplay. So before, I was always strictly on Xbox because that's where my friends were. If I could play with my friends and have a PlayStation and get the PlayStation exclusives or whatever, what's to stop me from jumping ship now?
Right, but and that's kind of turning to the other thing, moving on into like next gen. So they're clearly seeing the writing on the wall, right? Crossplay is something we want. It's something we've asked for. It's something that now that's happening. But where do we draw the line with like, are exclusives still going to be a big selling point? Are these big God of Wars and Gears 5 still going to be something that's going to be driving these future systems another few years? Where do you see that moving forward?
I think that is going to be the big selling point, and that's
still
where
the reason to buy a system.
And that's where Sony's gonna have the edge. Because tons of people now, like I said, personally for me, I'm more partial to the PlayStation games, those exclusives and stuff. And so I was always on Xbox because, I mean, now I think I have too many achievements and stuff like that I think it would be hard for me to let it go. But there's tons of people who aren't like me that were there just to play for their friends, and now they could easily get a PlayStation. My cousins who could now play with me that only have an Xbox just for me, but they would prefer to have a PlayStation because PlayStation is the only one who has a baseball game, MLB The Show, can now just have a PlayStation and play with me and not have to have an Xbox One.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I doubt it. I wonder if in the future, because like how you can throw on like a mixer to where, like when Gino was playing Borderlands, we were watching them, and we were all in the same party. I wonder if in the future, if any type of crossplay is going to work to where one system could put a video on to where we're still in a party and the other person on their system watch it, and then, you know, still have that functionality. That'd be something that I think would be kind of cool moving forward, because it sounds like they want to make all these systems, for lack of better terms, kind of play nice with each other, kind of make the ecosystem work and function better. First step's parties. The next step I would think would be to some sort of video watching and or, you know, being able to navigate somebody else that may be stuck on a completely different system. I think that'd be kind of a cool idea.
Right. No, I even still on Xbox now, like, it's kind of a hassle to... I don't think it's a hassle to get in a mixer and stuff like that, but it'd be a lot easier if there was just like a watch now...
A mixer button?
Something
like
that...
Something like the Stadia would have on it?
The console no one else is going to get. Just so if you're playing Borderlands 3 and I just wanted to watch, or let's say I was playing PUBG and you just wanted to jump in the middle of my round, without me stopping my thing, going to Mixer, launching Mixer, and letting it go, and then getting back into my game. There's no other way just for me to instantly be like, stream now, and then you just instantly jump in now. You always have to... Right now it's kind of a little bit slow, but there's tons of times where I join a party and I'm like, oh, how many people are left in your game? That I would prefer just to be able to... if I could just watch the game.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
I like that. I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things that's a possibility moving forward, dude, with how quick that's going to get, how the technology is going to function out. But speaking of big moves they were actually making, nothing that's in a hypothetical like a camera on a system, is Sony kind of saw that subscriptions is where they've been lacking, right?
Right.
So for a while now, me and Andrew, probably almost every episode, if not every other episode, stress how much the Game Pass
love it.
is just a juggernaut. And from what I was reading earlier, Sony has what's called the PS Now, which is the official term of it is it's a cloud gaming subscription service that allows it to stream the PS2, PS3, and PS4 games on a PS4 and a PC, and then you can actually download some PS2 and PS4 games to the PS4 itself. Now, earlier, I don't know if it was earlier this year or maybe last year, the most they had was like 700,000 subs, which is dwarf when you look at what is actually running on the Game Pass. So their previous numbers to be a part of that was a $19.99 for a month service fee. Now, if we're looking at that compared to anything else, the Game Pass right now sits at, I think without the PC is $9.99, and then with the PC connecting, it's I think $14.99. So PlayStation just kind of cut everything in half. So they've just dropped their thing to $9.99 for the first month, $24.99 for a quarter, and then $59.99 for an annual subscription. Now, Andrew, that's a huge thing for them to do. That's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot of revenue for them to just cut in half, but that's going to get more people on board. And so that's subscriptions is what's happening.
And that's, again, pointing to this conversation, like, what is Xbox going to do? Because it seems like PlayStation's making a lot of these bigger moves, like not just the exclusives, but
now they're setting trends.
To make PS Now. Obviously, they took the move and cut it in half, but they also just added games like God of War. What else did they add recently?
So God of War, GTA 5, Uncharted 4, and Infamous Second Son. So that launched on October 1st. So if you are a PS Now member, you have that. Oh, and retroactively speaking, if you were already paying for a month subscription or a 3-month or a 4-month or a year, they're gonna credit you back, they're gonna
Adjust
prorate
it
it
for
essentially.
whatever, yeah.
So you get correct amounts on that. But the thing is, and here's what caught my eye, and I don't know if this is a big gap. These things are only on there as of right now till January 2nd, 2020, which is only a few months. And I gotta say, doesn't Game Pass games stay on there a lot longer than a couple months?
Some of them do. Some of them are a little bit shorter. So I mean, I think that's really just
because Halo's been on there the whole time. Or are those games any Xbox party gets Halo permanently?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the thing is Halo is a first party game. I mean, the biggest difference between the two now being is that you can download every single game that's on the Game Pass. The big thing. But Xbox has a lot of those games. Like they've said, the next Halo will be day and date. They have Outer Worlds coming day and date to the Game Pass. So you have these huge games that aren't coming months down the road. They are Gears 5.
Yeah,
huge exclusive for Microsoft. Whether or not it's got the same clout as far as, you know, anything PlayStation has, that was a name once upon a time. And whether or not it still does the same numbers, who knows. But it's day and date on there for Xbox.
PlayStation's catalog is from what they're saying, it's like 800 some games, which is the biggest catalog on any subscription. Because you got to remember, Game Pass is huge, but Ubisoft's Pass is right around the corner, if not out already on PC. And then you still have Apple Arcade that's right around the corner. So PlayStation now does have the biggest category of games. It's just they're not doing new games day and date like the Gears 5 and Halo. They're kind of focusing on greatest hits game at this point. We're like, because God of War is a year old. Uncharted 4 is at least a couple years old at this point. So, but they do promise huge marquee titles every month. So that's not bad if you're getting great games every month, where sometimes the Game Pass games are hit or miss.
But imagine if they start doing the games day and date, because Xbox, what does it really have for exclusives coming out? Nothing. Halo is the only big one they have that's been announced and shown. Yeah, so Sony has obviously another Spider-Man's in the work. Ghost of Tsushima is going to be coming out. The Last of Us 2, Death Stranding. If all those games were day and date on the Game Pass, how many people would subscribe just subscribe for The Last of Us 2 would skyrocket.
It's just one of those things right now where I still feel like we're in a limbo of how we're going to gauge what success actually means, because Spider-Man alone, by itself, one system, one title, has sold more than any other comic book game across every platform. So, we don't know what that answer is yet. Does PS5 or PlayStation stick to their big games being games that are physically bought?
I don't think they'll do day and date.
Because we don't know what Gears 5 meant, right? And we talked about it last episode. Didn't hit big sales number. It's like, factually speaking, one of the worst selling games of all time.
But it was also the highest played game
beat
on
out
Xbox,
Fortnite as the number one being played game. So I think next year is when we're going to have a better answer to wrap our head around to answer that question of what's the right move. Do we put big games on day one, or do we kind of sit back, let them sell their numbers, and in 3, 4, 5 months, you get to play God of War, you get to play Spider-Man?
And that's what's kind of thing is, do you bank on, let's say, 1 million people buying this game, or do you bank on 3 to 4 million people paying for your subscription, even if it's only for 1 month, and then maybe spending a little monetization here and there on like DLC or something like that for your game?
Yeah, the cool thing is you can also get, like any good subscription service, like a trial period. The PS Now, I believe it gives you a 14-day trial period, so I've never beat Infamous Second Son. I wouldn't mind getting a trial period or pay $9.99 to play that game and beat it. But I want to make sure we're clear. Don't let PS Now confuse you with what PS Plus is. PS Plus is like Xbox Gold versus PS Now versus the Game Pass, right? Two separate things entirely. So I want to make sure, because some of that terminology gets thrown around with all the subscriptions, with all the things you got to pay for, and they're not combined yet, where the Game Pass and Xbox Gold you can get in a bundle. Yeah. I don't think they do that yet with PS Now and PS Plus.
I don't think so.
And they shouldn't. I mean, they just launched this thing. I'm sure when they see how the numbers react, they'll maybe bundle it or format it together. But I just want to make sure you guys know, PS Now is separate from what a PS Plus is. So, and the fact, I don't know if you said this or not, and I think you might have, but PS Now is also cloud streaming only. There is nothing that downloads to the PlayStation, and that's where the big problem's been with it so far. There's the lag on that. There's,
how much latency is on it? How's your internet?
So
and then
keep that in mind too. So if you are getting PS Now, it is only cloud streaming. There is nothing that physically downloads to your console. It's all streaming.
So the final question I want to propose to you then on this topic, just to kind of close it out, is looking to the future without obviously E3 or saying, oh, they'll show more on the horizon. With what you know now, or what you think you know now, who do you think's edging out the better console to start next year? The
better console to start out next year,
based on all these factors.
Have we confirmed that the Xbox Scarlett can play every Xbox One game?
I mean, we have to assume so because they've already said that any console and anything moving forward will also be able to be played. And I don't imagine they would make a PS5 that can't play PS4 games.
The only reason I'll lean towards the Xbox is because I think Sony's got them. I mean, I still dedicate most of my time to an Xbox. I think PS4 might be the better system, but once Project xCloud gets into our hands, because Sony has nothing to compete against that. They have nothing that's going to go to a smaller device and stream it. Once Andrew can go to work and take his phone and keep playing his Xbox, then move it straight back there. So I think in the hypothetical of what's to come, I think Microsoft's got the stronger box. And it's, for me, it's banking on if the Project xCloud works seamlessly.
And see, for me, I'm thinking of PlayStation more. Because, again, I could go to work and play xCloud, but what am I going to play?
Everything.
What exclusives? What good big game am I dying to play that's not going to be?
Then why haven't you bought a PS4 yet? If your thing is exclusives, then why haven't you got a PS4?
Well, because
you're sticking to what you play. So if basing on that, if you're going to take your phone to work,
like I said earlier, I wasn't sticking to what I played. I was caught in an environment because there was no cross-platform or all these other things that aren't holding me back.
So is the answer not Nintendo Switch? Because that's nothing but exclusives.
It could be. I think PlayStation will be the bigger one, but who knows? I think Xbox really just needs to get out there. Even if they put out like a small show, put out something more exclusives than just Halo's on the horizon.
I got a feeling late, and it's going to suck to say E3 2020.
I think it needs to be before E3. And if they do a briefing showing off the console, they need to show.
Well, that's in the we haven't really seen anything from all the studios they just purchased. They just
and
picked
that's
up
what
a
I'm saying.
shitload of
and that's what I'm saying.
we don't know what they're doing with them yet.
For them, radio silence right now is not the best option. Whereas PlayStation, they've already shown off a bunch of shit to where they could not announce anything until E3 next year, and people would be completely fine with that.
Yeah, so the big question, guys, is who do you think is moving in the right direction for next gen? Does the PS5 look like it's going to be the big dog? Does Scarlett look like it's going to be the big dog? And what about moving forward in terms of online streaming built into your console? Subscriptions, how many are we going to have to pay for? We're already paying for everything on film. Is our game library now going to be consistent of subscriptions based on consoles? A lot of interesting stuff.
I'll be honest, I'd probably stream a little bit, even if it's just for the channel or something like that.
Yeah, at that point, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, why not?
Because a lot of the time, it's just, having a rig that does it, and not everyone has one that does it. So if it's built right in, probably won't be the best looking quality, but it's baby steps and it's getting started.
If they made it super easy to do and made it something maybe kind of like YouTube, whatever, why not put it straight up to the channel? I'm no fucking...
Get some Last Call streaming going?
Yeah.
Main player CC?
I'm not good enough to be a member of FaZe, but I'll put out a decent clip or two, I guess.
Andrew's always known for a good clip or two, but guys, unless you have anything else on the topic at hand, should we move into riffs?
I thought you were going to say clip or two or riff or two is where I thought you were going to go. But
see, you got to be quick on that draw. Andrew,
I had a beard in my mouth.
Let's move into riffs. Would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first.
All right, well, start me off. Big
So,
Papa.
I'll start off with just recently, I think it was on the 30th. I forgot to write down the exact date because that's my fault. Worldwide Studios of Sony Interactive PlayStation, Sean Layden has actually left.
I like that name. Does he spell it S-E or S-H?
S-H.
Okay.
He's been there since 1987. Pretty much he's like the head of all the first parties and everything like that. And I didn't write it down because we were already talking about other rumors, but there is kind of a rumor going around now that Sony internally is having a lot of issues as far as a power struggle for whatever, and that's part of the reason why he left. So if I can find the article again, I'll put it up because it was kind of an interesting read. He's been there for a while, and he's also been out to a couple of the E3s. He comes out and talks, whatever. So
people.
Yeah, the man of the people. He always seemed like a pretty decent guy, but then again, I don't know.
Did it say what he's moving on to? Or is he just gone?
They didn't say anything like that. It was just straight from this. I don't even know if he put out something because the only thing I could see when I was looking through a couple articles was just from PlayStation saying, "We wish you the best. Hope everything's good and cheers and thank you for always being here."
PR cover out bullshit.
But then again, it's always weird when only the company puts out something and the other person doesn't. So.
Classic Sony. Okay, awesome, man. I hope the guy knows what he's up to. And
I'm sure he's rich enough to where he will be perfectly fine.
He's got fucking money. So, guys, my riff is that developer Lucas Pope just put out a tweet, and I believe I have it. We could pop it up. There's a game called Return of Obra Dinn, which was voted in 2018 as one of the best games.
Ooh, it's actually pronounced Aberdeen.
Aberdeen.
That's I
Mario,
only know that,
Mario.
I don't even remember
That was the
anything about
perfect
the
time for you
game.
to say it.
But the Mario. Yeah, it would have been nice.
It was an exclusive to PC, but it's coming to the PS4, the Xbox One, and the Switch on October 18th. And this game is a this pirate swashbuckling kind of game. It's a puzzle solver where, if I read it down correctly, you're playing an insurance adjuster working in the East India Company in the early 19th century, and you need to discover what happened to 60 crew members and passengers because the ship came back to shore and everyone's dead, everyone's missing. So the game is on you to figure out what happened. I believe it was a GameSpot. They gave it like a 9 out of 10. So the game looks good. Interesting in color though. It was like kind of like, I don't want to call it black and white, but it was definitely dark colors, a little grainy looking. Definitely looks like a PC style game. But one of the game of the years 2018, and now you can have it. And my birthday's on October 19th. So if anyone's looking to get me something, just saying.
I was trying to look up something else, but I do have another one in between. It was actually one that it just kind of clicked with me. But another thing I wanted to mention, because it's something more specific to you, is that Troy Baker put out a statement saying why he did not come back as RIFF.
Oh yeah, I was
for Borderlands 3,
some of that.
And it's just because Gearbox wouldn't go union. He's obviously supports that, so he couldn't be a part of something that isn't, for that cause.
Yeah.
And they put out their thing, we appreciate everyone's standards, and it's against the law to not hire someone who's a part of union, but it doesn't mean, I guess, they have to pay them whatever it is that they meet their demands. So it's a whole weird thing on who's right and who's better.
Yeah, it was a weird one, because what I remember hearing was that if that was the case, they weren't hiring based on him being in union. There's other union members in the game. So that argument kind of falls flat, because it's like, well, what is it? Like, what's the actual issue here? Was he asking for too much? Do they want to move away from voice talent that's in every other game? Like, I could look at it from different angles, but the argument that they put out saying we're not going to hire him because he was from a union makes no sense, because there's other union actors in that game.
No, they didn't say
that.
They said they would have hired him. He said he turned it down because they wouldn't go union.
And his answer said
so they wouldn't.
He never said no. So I don't know. It's
I took it. Well, the thing I took was straight sweet.
It's a weird, because I was listening to I forget who else was talking about it, but like nobody has a definitive answer on this, and it's like, how hard is it to just say what happened?
Yeah, I guess. But then again, too, I don't know what they pay. I don't know what you pay somebody like that for a role that's not like the crazy biggest part of the game.
It's not even a beefy role, so maybe it's like he was asking for like Robert Downey Jr. money in terms to come do this voice, that he's in it for a couple hours.
And that's the thing, I have no clue for voice acting what like that kind of union is like as far as like, is there like a minimum, no matter how your length, whatever, it's a whole thing.
I hope he gets his dues and propers though, because
I'm sure he's fine. He's just
he's gonna be just fine. My other riff, guys, was that, and this was a report by Kotaku, was saying that, and before I get into it, have you heard anything about how Ghost Recon's been received? From what I'm seeing,
doesn't it come out tomorrow?
The beta was out though. They were saying a lot of it. What, in October?
Doesn't the game come out tomorrow?
I think if you pre-ordered it, you have access to it early, so you can start playing it. But they're saying that the game is kind of lackluster, kind of generic, kind of easy. But
I seen a big thing about people saying that there's a lot of weird monetization.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. There's a lot of weird like loot box kind of things that don't necessarily need to be in there. But that's not the riff, because we could riff on that all day. But the main thing is if you want to actually go and fight Cole Walker, which is John Bernthal's guy that plays Punisher, his character, you can actually do it very, very early in the game. There's a kind of like a backdoor secret to where if you go interrogate enemy commanders, they'll start giving out positions and locations of where you need to go. So from what the report was saying is that it was easy to go find him. He was in a base, blah, blah, blah. But it's hard to reach him, because at one point you need to take out this like heavily armored tank without getting caught. So the guy that was saying that he was like shooting it with armor piercing rounds finally beat it and then did it. So, and they're recommending though, do not go fight this guy with gear score under 150, but you still can go try it. So if you are, it's almost like, it reminded me of MGS3, where you can just kill one of the main bosses in the was it the old man?
Oh, the end, yeah.
The end where you can kill him in the beginning.
Him, yeah.
So if you are interested in skipping the whole game and just go fight John Berthold's character, you can do that, and they tell you how. So that is a thing that you can do.
Okay, that's cool. I hope he plays like a bigger role, because I hate when they promote characters that obviously they paid money for. Like the biggest gripe I could think of for something like that would be Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, where they were showing off Conor McGregor.
Oh, yeah.
And, no, maybe it's not Advanced Warfare. What's the other one? Infinite, then.
Yeah.
With Kit Harington. And he's like barely in the game at all. But he's in there, I guess, enough to justify whatever.
Every trailer had it.
But they were also going on and on about Conor McGregor being in the game. He's even in the beginning in like a cutscene. But I didn't even know I fucking killed him when I was running around killing random people. Yeah, and he's just dead as hell.
So go check it out. But from what I'm hearing though, I haven't got a chance to play it yet in depth anyway. Every like monologue and every line that Bernthal delivers is just like the scene stiller. So. If you do play the whole game and you get to witness him throughout, it should be a good performance.
He seems like he'd be money, and I would think that he would be one of those people who probably could be a lead in a game where I would like to see, just the same way Norman Reedus is taking up Death Stranding. Whether or not the game's good or not or anything like that, I doubt it would be because it's his fault.
I don't know if he has or hasn't, but he should be the voice of a new Wolverine at some point.
That would probably be cool too. Yeah, I think he's got that kind of good voice. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Nice, raspy, gravelly voice.
I got one last riff then.
Shoot.
So for mine is that for the 25th anniversary, it's actually a fan remake, but it's looking really good, so you can only play it on PC. But they are remaking GoldenEye, and maybe we can throw up a little footage or something like that. Write down the timestamp. It's 2208.
I'm on it.
And anyways...
Yeah, that's on that.
Yeah. But either way, I thought it looked pretty good. It looked pretty cool. I was actually talking to Tyler about it. I don't know how well it'll play or if that game can translate to a modern game with like modern controllers, if it will still feel the same. But either way, it's something that's in a lot of people's hearts. So
I think it can only get better because that game only had one joystick to run the accesses on, right?
But maybe that's the thing is you go back and you play that game now and it kind of plays like shit because of that access. But if you make it more accessible, that can maybe change what was fun about that game at that time period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can only speak to it because me, Danny, and Ryan, I have an N64 downstairs. We would play it, and the only thing I thought the game was missing was 2 fucking joysticks. So it would definitely put me back in the saddle to play that game because as of right now, it's hard for me to go back and play.
See, I still play it fine because I played so much Perfect Dark that I always held the controller.
Most did.
I always held the controller and I'd switch up the C buttons to be your movement, so I wasn't trying to aim.
Are you clawing it though when you're playing?
No, I hold it like that.
Okay.
So I wasn't aiming like with the reticle where you have to individually aim the gun. I was just hip firing the whole time, and I was just using the C buttons to kind of get a general where you're at. Perfect Dark.
All day?
All day. Hands down.
You heard it here first, kids. I have to bring up a riff that I know Andrew hates, because he told me that he hates the game now, is that if you are, guys, a fan of...
If you like hot garbage, please tune into what Craig's about to say.
So Operation Underground is a new map that's coming for... It's not Rainbow Six.
God.
It's your favorite game of all time. What is it?
Battlefield 5.
Ooh, he had to say. I wanted Andrew to say it.
I specifically didn't write this down in my riffs.
He told me earlier
I didn't want to talk about it.
So the map drops on October 3rd, and it's a tunnel subway kind of level, and it's getting there's play. You can watch some play on it, and it looks pretty good. But the modes that it's operating on is Conquest, Breakthrough, Squad Conquest, and Team Deathmatch. So is that a big deal though for a map to only come to so many modes? Or there are more modes that a map should be able to come
Usually
to?
When they put out DLC, it's only for certain modes. Like even in like Battlefield 4, it was like that. Like they put out some classic maps from Battlefield 3 and I think one from 2. And it only had Capture the Flag and then 2 other game modes.
Some lend themselves only to certain modes. 'Cause I was curious if 4 was a good amount, if that was not a lot.
I don't think this game was designed well, but generally they tried to kind of design a map. Some are built better for others, but yeah, not every game mode translates well to each map.
Okay, well that's the last I've got for Riffs. You done?
Yeah, you ready for a question or two?
Oh, a couple of cuestiones. Let's bring that up. So we're just gonna rattle off 2 today, guys. Keep the episode short and sweet. So the first,
I gotta get home for lunch.
excuse me. Question comes from Connor Malone. He asked, do you think we'll see games from George R.R. Martin's work spring up over the next few years after the end of Game of Thrones? Outside of Telltale, I don't know any, and am surprised as I see it is similar to Lord of the Rings, and that there is so much potential in the Game of Thrones world. My immediate reaction to this, Connor, because I like the question, is it's Game of Thrones is an odd thing to take because even if because it is based on books, but even if you compare it to things like a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, those were made in the movies that you can turn into a game. It's kind of hard to base a TV show into video games. Although the first thing that came to mind that I would probably think they could do is a Lego game. Why couldn't you do seasons 1 through 4 as a Lego game, Game of Thrones, and then do 5 through 7 or 8 or whatever it is as that? As far as anything else, we have Eldritch or Eldarin coming. That's his vision.
Elden Ring.
Ring.
He's done the story for. So,
what do you got?
Actually, when I first read this question, I was like, what the fuck is GRM? I was like, Germ? What is that? And then after I came around, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, George Railroad Martin.
Railroad.
So I don't think that we will see anything else Game of Thrones related because the show's over. It ended on a flat note, and who's talking about it now?
Well, the prequels are coming. I mean, there's a prequel coming.
But who's talking about it? When the prequels get here, that's a different story. But nobody's talking about it now. That's not hot right now. And that's kind of the thing is, even though Harry Potter ended, and when it did end, Harry Potter is still a big thing.
Spin-offs and other things.
Exactly, and that's going on and on and on and on to where it's still a hot topic to where you still have a good fan base you have a huge fan base for Game of Thrones, but I just don't feel like it's a hot commodity like it is. I think we won't see anything from... I don't know too much about his other works. Does he do more than Game of Thrones?
Question. I don't know enough about the rest of his work to know if there's anything worth doing.
Yeah, so I don't know if he does other things. I would like to see something like that because, yeah, you're right. We don't have anything that's Lord of the Rings-esque. That would be perfect. Who knows what that Elden Ring is going to be like, but I would personally like to see something Lord of the Rings style, or almost like Shadow of Mordor, War of Mordor, but Game of Thrones-ish. We don't even have the Game of Thrones... fucking Telltale game, which I actually really enjoyed for the little bit that it was.
And now
that
Telltale's getting kind of getting reevaluated, redesigned with Skybound being involved. I mean, I don't know if they're going to keep paying for licenses for things they don't own.
I doubt for that.
There might be. So
actually, they might because of how the show ended. That it might be on a down flux before that prequel takes off.
The only other thing I remember hearing, and it was a while back, and I don't know if they would revisit it. Wasn't there supposed to be an MMO? Where you could get involved and be part of the factions and be part of the different families. So that would be the only other way I could see something like this going, would be kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons, a fantasy MMO where you can go back in the world, and maybe it would be a prequel where there's more dragons and stuff. It probably fell apart
faster than the last season.
He's hating.
But what I will say, though, is what I think we probably will see is more just him dabbling, like what he is doing with Elden Ring. Maybe write a story here. Or maybe, who knows?
Isn't he not even done with the last book? So it's like, what else could he possibly be working on?
And he might just be busy with that too. Or who knows? Maybe they'll do another Lord of the Rings game and like, hey, would you like to just kind of come in and maybe do a little story stuff or whatever? So I think we'll see a lot of him like dabbling.
What if we get like a Soul Calibur in like fucking...
a fighting game?
The Hand of the King is an unlockable, as a playable character like on Sony... And like Kit Harington's character is an unlockable one on Xbox or something like that.
Oh, I suck those games,
I know, but remember back when games used to do that? You used to get one character on one system, one character on the other.
Yeah, didn't Xbox get like Darth Vader and Yoda? And,
and then did we get Starkiller?
It was GameCube, I think.
Oh, GameCube at the time?
I know it had Link in like one of them.
I don't know. Throw one of those guys into a fighting game. Maybe they'll be the next character on Super Smash Bros.
No, man, I'm thinking of Dead or Alive. I think they had... fucking someone from Halo, Linda, one of the Spartans in like a fucking Spartan suit fighting people and stuff like that. I don't know. It's always kind of weird to see stuff like that, but it's also kind of cool though too.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Connor? Because like I said, I'm not as familiar with his work to know if there's anything else to do. The biggest cash in I could see would be a Lego game. You do a couple Lego games based on maybe a season or two.
But do you do a Lego game about murder and death?
You played Lord of the Rings about murder and death?
Yeah, but it's not the same.
I guess it isn't quite the same. But yeah, and how do you tune that down for
that?
kids?
And I think too, I mean, that's the thing is Game of Thrones, it's more about the dialogue. So I wouldn't even mind something bigger than like a Telltale, almost like what's that one game? Detroit Become Human, or any Heavy Rain, and any of those games that David Cage makes, something like that. But Game of Thrones, that would actually be really cool. We got one more question from a Brian Serafino. Question: What's the one game that you're best at? If you were to sign up for a competition, what game would it be? I'd probably sign up for Super Smash Melee on GameCube. Good choice. Even though I know there'd be many others that can want me.
I like that.
That's for sure. Yeah, no, I would probably get smashed at that.
Womped on.
You want to lead or you want me to?
Well, I looked at it in terms, and I think I've said it once or twice of what I think I'm kind of good at. And I took your question, like the competition is like, what would I bet money on? If I had to give someone, if I had to bet Andrew, hey, $5 is I can get to Soda Popinski on Punch Out faster than you or score way faster KOs, I think I can do a pretty good speed run on that. Not saying I can just go straight to Tyson and beat it, because I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I can go pretty fast on that. The other thing that I would say that I guess would be more competitive is I'll take anybody on, and it's not a good game to be, not a hard game to be good at, is Mario Kart Wii. So I used to play online. I got 2 Wii set up. We can play it. So if you ever want to play me on Mario Kart Wii, send the invite, because I'll play and I'll smash. We can do like a first to who wins the most out of who gets first out of most 11 rounds or something like that. I'm pretty sure I'd kick a lot of ass in that.
I couldn't do any fighting game. I kind of like suck at all of them. I kind of just do the story. But as far as anything else, I think I could take a lot of people in PUBG. I think I'm fairly decent at PUBG. Every session I play, I usually tend to win. And then
he's a born winner, natural winner.
And then if I had to throw something else in there, I would say that I'm fairly good at Mario Party. Like usually,
which one?
Any of them. Like
which one? I'm getting no from the audience, bro. Which one?
She's saying no because when we went to Christian's house to play, I was beating everyone so bad it turned into a 3 versus 1, and I still almost won.
But which one? What? I need to know system.
That one was on the Switch, whatever game. The newest one is.
The newest one, he says.
The newest one, the oldest one. I whip your ass every time we play.
We need to get a good let's play Mario Party 64 setup. I would like to do that.
Either way, I think I could beat most people, I would say, at Mario. I'm fairly
which is such an odd, I mean, not an odd one or it's a weirder thing, but like it's such a game of chance based on roll and anything. So that does, I find a little impressive, because that's a game of not only randomness and chance, but like hardcore strategy that you're almost doing from the first roll to the last roll, and especially based on how many turns you're doing, what mini games are unlocked.
Right, and that's what's weird to think about too, is like being good at something like that that's totally random. Same with like PUBG. If I land and there's no fucking weapons, how do I turn that into a win or something like that? It's just. Maybe it's just chance games. Like I'm not good at like a definitive like fighting game. There's no, there's no openness for chance. It's all just how good you are.
Yeah, I'm just a button smasher.
Yeah.
So with all that, guys,
I'll play the story and fucking meet you at the end.
We're getting to the end of the episode, so let's go over the contest, guys. So if you're following this is entry 4 in the Call of Duty Modern Warfare giveaway. Now we're giving away 2 copies. Now 2 copies means you don't get 2 of them. We're going to pick 2 winners. So if you watched the last one and you saw that we gave everyone that won the episode entry, pulled it out, we're going to pull out 2 this time. So make sure that in the comments, guys, you put hashtag Call of Duty and try to put the system of your choice, because we're giving it out on Xbox One, PS4, PC, if they have it.
Whatever it is that you want it on. If you want a codfish fillet dinner, we will also ship that to you in the mail.
Yeah, you can have just with all the fixins on it. So, guys, make sure that you follow us on Facebook at LastCallProductionz. Follow us on Instagram at LastCallProductionz. Follow us at Twitter at LastCallProdz. Follow us on our podcast, which is on Castbox right now. But, guys, make sure that if you want to enter the giveaway, that you have to do this on our YouTube channel. You have to hit like, you have to hit subscribe, and you have to leave the hashtag intro.
I will also say too, if you are like me and have a million people that you follow on YouTube, hit that notification button, because otherwise get lost in the feed. It definitely makes it a lot easier. I even have to subscribe to ours because it gets lost in my feed. I know when the video is coming out.
I gotta remind them when the video's out. So
you don't have to now, because I get a notification when it does.
Awesome, guys. So that is the end of this episode. We had a blast doing it. We hope you guys had a blast listening to it. So until next time, guys, my name is Craig Perales. That is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Brilliant. I saw you doing something like that at one point, but I was trying to
I saw you coming in your face with your beer because I already knew you were trying not to laugh.
In the beginning, I was just like I just get so anxious.
Giddy?
Yeah.
What was funny? We're delivering the facts here, Cece.
No, I've just never seen it in person.
These are hardcore facts here. People would die to be in the position that you're in.
Do you think it's different? Seeing it in person versus us, all the prep and different shit we go into.
It's not?
Well, we quick prep today because Craig's working, but generally we spend a lot longer going over notes and stuff.
For me, it's how you guys always are, though.
Yeah, but isn't it? Well,
when
no.
You're playing a game of DC, this is how it is, pretty much.
Why have we not played a game of DC in 1,000 years? 1,000 years, I say.
Do you think it's weird to see it all in one take versus watching it just like on like YouTube?
I was thinking that thought. I was like,
that is one thing we do that a lot of people don't do. Is one take.
Yeah.
Like nobody does that. Everyone else is chopped liver.
I'm surprised. Like normally we don't really
it's just
stumble.
funny because I'm like, I
Do we
wanted
stumble?
to say something.
No.
What? Add your comments. Anytime there's a live audience.
I was like, maybe I should just leave a comment.
What were you gonna say? What point?
Well, there's just a little thing.
Like what?
We want to know. It's not offensive. Like I would rather.
No. Not about that, but just like what you were saying, I wanted to contribute.
See?
Oh yeah. Oh, all right, Gino.
I know Gino's always like that too. Every time
Can
he's
you
watching
see
it,
me thinking?
he's like, I could have said something too. I'm like, well, you know, maybe one day when the studio's a little bit bigger, we'll have.
Well, see, leave the comment, and that's what we like. That's why, like, because Craig was saying, he's like, oh, I don't know if that's a story. And I'm like, no, that's the thing. Is this isn't just a story. It's a conversation piece. It's a conversation piece. It's meant to make people think and to get that, like, oh, well, fuck, you know what? Maybe they're right. Who do I think is going to win? Like, do I think that's right? Do I want another fucking camera on my room fucking watching me raw dog my wife?